Welcome into another edition of The Rundown here on Big Rapids Daily News, WBRN's YouTube channel. Brandon Worth, Jack Heckman giving you the good stuff in CSAA sports. Today, we have a great episode. We are talking boys and girls hoops. Jack, we're already pretty much a week in. It feels like we're a month into boys hoops. Girls hoops are pretty much going to be starting up here this week. Going to be a really exciting time now. The fact that girls will get on the hardwood, the men's team, we've seen a couple already upsets here early on this season, so it's going to be a fun conference to watch.
Yeah, an exciting week, and I can't wait for the rest of this winter to go by. It should be an exciting season.
It's going to be a great season. We got the previews for you on boys and girls side as well as CSAA-Red and CSAA-White divisions. We'll break that all down. But before we do that, big thanks goes out to our friends at Denny's Muffler and Brakes. Get your car and your truck or your van or your SUV or whatever vehicle done right the first time. Head on down there in State Street in Big Rapids, on State Street, I should say. Whether it's an oil change, muffler and brakes, auto repair, they can help you out. Schedule and call to get an appointment today. Also, big thanks to Eagle Village. If you want a job that impacts the lives of youth and the next generation, follow along eaglevillage.org/careers to see the job opportunities. Eagle Village, where potential soars. All right, Jack, let's talk about this CSAA-Red. We'll start with boys division first. Last year, Grant certainly was overpowering for this conference. Undefeated 10-0, 20 wins on the season, just depth everywhere. The offense was electric. You saw Big Rapids and Newaygo fighting in second at 8-2, Newaygo 5-5, and then Chip Hills, Tri-County, Reed City really just kind of beat each other at the end of the day, both 3-7 and 2-8 in those respective categories. But Grant, I think when you look at, losing Sincere Hatch, losing guys like DeLong, it was going to be really an uphill battle for them this year, but they got Phillips. They still got some of these other guys. I mean, they're going to be a fun team to watch this year, and I think it's fair to say they're going to be the favorite in this conference.
Exactly. This team didn't really have to rebuild. They just reloaded, and the talent on this group, again, is exciting to watch.
Absolutely, and the win already against Cedar Springs is a huge boost forward for them going on this season. Big Rapids 8-2, 16-7 on the year, but earlier on this last week, you were on the call for this game. Chip Hill spoiled the party. They got some length this year. There's no doubt about it. And they're ready for the test. Coach Darnell wants to challenge this team. They got Midland on the schedule. They got Alma on the schedule. They're playing some new teams. And for him in his third season, I think this Chippewa Hills team, they want to make that next step. And if Chapman and Dagley can play consistently offensively and they can slow these teams down defensively, they might be that sneaky team to rise up in the standings this year.
Yeah, definitely. This past Thursday, both those guys, you mentioned it, had great games. They were able to score, but this was also a gritty defensive team that going forward, they want to hold you under that 50-point mark, and that's exactly what they did against Big Rapids. That's something looking forward the whole season. If they can keep points under 50, 55, they might be in the perfect spot.
Absolutely, and Big Rapids coming out on the losing end of it, and obviously that's a loss that they haven't taken in a long time in that building against the Warrior team, so it's a punch them out. They're going to respond back, but I think we learned they gained a little bit of, you would want to say they gained a little bit of grittiness as far as over athleticism, but they lost a lot of basketball talent last year with Ty Gilchek as well as Gabe Jenga, arguably the player of the year in the conference last year. So, but this is a new team. Cole Heist still leading the charge without Drew Heist due to injury. So really the biggest thing for Coach Thomas and this Cardinals team, who's going to be that secondary scorer? That's going to be something to watch.
Yeah, even with Drew Heist going down, they don't have the secondary scorer. You got to look for Liam McLaughlin and Trent Muscle to come in and take that secondary scorer over, or this team could be trouble in the early season.
Absolutely. And looking at some other teams, Newaygo 5-5 last year, 9-14 overall. But new coach, new philosophy, Coach Bauer, right? This team's a little bit younger, looking to see if they can build, especially in the second half. This might be a team that might need to take a little bit of games to get their identity going, but second half might be the second time around they play these teams. Watch out. This team might spoil some parties.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, they're just lacking the ability to score and get to those higher ability to score with playing Reed City and Wyoming Kellogg'sville. But this could be a long season ahead. You mentioned it, the possibility of playing these teams the second time around, getting those, you see the team first, you see them the second time. Everybody knows that you have the better chance the second time after seeing them the first time. This is a team that if they don't do that, this could be a really long season ahead.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. And then you got Tri-County and Reed City at the bottom. Tri-County, obviously, starting off on the right foot with a win to start the season against Lakeview. But the big thing for them, especially when they play Grant, it's just going to be, can they generate that offense consistently? I think that's going to be the big key. Losing somebody like Connor Henry, who's going to be filling that role behind him. I think there's a couple guys that can do that, but I think for them, it's going to have to be the offensive side of consistency. And if they're going to want to beat some of these big teams, they're going to have to slow the game down too.
Yeah, 100%. You hit it right on the head, slowing the game down. This team's only had 2 winning seasons in the last 10 years. They want to get back to this winning type of time, but how do they do that? They got to find ways to score, and they got to find ways to play defense. I said it with Chip Hills, holding teams under 50 points. If they can do that and just find ways to take advantage of your opponent, they might be sitting pretty in some of these games.
Yeah, they got a lot of athletes. How they use them in that scheme is going to be great to see. Reed City finishing on the bottom of the conference this year, but call me a homer. I don't care. This is a team to watch, and this reason why. New guards, underclassmen guards that play very, very well defensively, and a lot of this starting lineup coming back from last year, loss of Landon Jackson, but I think this team gained a little bit of tenacity on the defensive side of the basketball, and I think it's going to be really fun to see how these guards, these sophomore and freshman guards that are starting on this team, develop over the season, get their feet under them. I think this could be a sneaky team to see. They could finish 5th, they could finish 2nd. That is the potential in the room.
You hit it right on the head. Playing against Ludington, having that such a close game at half past Tuesday, that really showed that this team could hang around, but then they kind of lost it in that second half. That fourth quarter really was detrimental to this team. But the ability of the young team to get some of these really big key moments against some of these better teams in the conference, it's going to pay detriments for this team going forward.
It's going to be really fun to watch that team. Before we flip over to the girls' side, big thanks goes out to our friends at rivalsmi.com. Get your local merchandise, shirts, and more, as well as hats, as well as other goodies over at rivalsmi.com. Let's go over to the girls' side. Big Rapids unblemished last year, 20-3 overall. The Fricky sisters are certainly going to be shouldering the load. We'll talk about them in just a moment. Newaygo 8-2, 18-5 overall. Reed City there in the 3rd spot, 5-5 in conference play despite being 9-13 overall. Grant 12-13 with a little bit of a playoff run, 4-6 in conference play. Then Chip Hills and Tri-County both battling at the bottom, each finishing with 5 wins. But we talk about Big Rapids. Coach Heist, she knows that they have a really big opportunity with these two pairings of Nolea and Neray Fricky. They're athletes. They've been working on their jump shot. Rumor has it here this offseason. And if they do, they're going to be two really tough to stop. And then they obviously have the depth around the overall arc to be able to play defense and play good brands of basketball. They can hold teams to 20, and they can win by scoring over 50. When you have both those things, it's going to be hard to beat this team.
Exactly. You said it. This is another great group coming in for Coach Heist. This is going to be a fun season to watch for that Cardinal squad.
I think down low is going to be one thing to watch with the bigs this season against this team. When you look at some of the other teams they played, Newaygo last year was a team that had some physicality, played some well defensively. Obviously, the Cardinals really got them in the postseason, in the second time around, I should say. But you have Hughes, right? You have a high-paced offense that can be. Can you retain it from last year? I think that's going to be the big question for the Lions, losing some of those key seniors that were all conference players. Can they bring that offensive back? I think that's a big question.
Right. You got to get back to some of these seasons you've had recently to get back to that success. You look back 2022, they had a really great season. How do you get back to that? And that's what there's going to be a question there, and you got to answer it.
Absolutely. Looking at Reed City, this was a team that finished 3rd. Coach Koopman is back, filling in for Coach Belfuse. But I think the big thing is they had low numbers last year. It sounds like it might be the same this year. But this team is going to be tenacious defensively. If I know Coach Koopman as well as I know him personally, they are going to want to play defense, and they're going to want to play fast in transition. So with the low numbers, if they're conditioned, they could be a sneaky team to watch.
Right, and this team's been hovering around 500 the past couple seasons. You got to break out of mediocrity. That's the question this season.
I think the offense will certainly be the one thing to watch for them. Grant as well, the same. Very young talent, and I think with the new schedule, adding teams like Sparta, adding some teams that you might see in these regional type of games that are going to be playoff-bound teams, that's going to challenge this Grant squad. The question is, are they up to the challenge, and can they play well defensively? I think that'll be a big key for the Tigers.
You mentioned it, battle-tested team. This has been a team that's hovering around 500, same with Reed City the past couple seasons. And truly, this might be not the same record you've seen, the above 500. This may be a team below 500, but they sure are going to be battle-tested.
They certainly are. So how do they play? Do they really thrive under that pressure, or do they fold? That's going to be a question mark. Looking at Chip Hills, Francesca Fall, outstanding freshman season. They're going to need her to make a big step up for this offense this next upcoming year, this season. So if they can have her step forward and play against some of those really high caliber players, they're going to be in great shape. But it's still going to be tough sledding ahead with some of these new teams that have been added on the boys and girls schedule. 5-19. I think they can really get past that win total this year, but how far, that's something we don't know.
Exactly. I mean, they've been slowly trickling back to the 5 wins. Only 1 win back in 2024, but you get back to 5 in 2025. That's a team a couple more wins under the belt, getting a little more mature, getting ready to play. And you mentioned it. This is going to be a tough schedule, but it goes back to the same thing. They're going to be a battle-tested squad.
They absolutely are. So we're going to wait and see there. And for Tri-County, I think they have a better schedule, more winnable opportunities this season. Can they capitalize for that group, especially a young, talented group?
Yeah, this is a boots on the ground year for those Tri-County Vikings. It's going to be something to watch.
Absolutely. Before we get into the CSAA-White boys and girls respectively, big thanks goes out to Dazos Digital. If your business wants to stand out amongst the trees of today's technology, get your advertising on straight online. DazosDigital.com for more information. CSAA-White, we'll start with the boys. This was a Kent City dominating conference team, although really we had a little bit of records to follow this last year because all 4 teams finished between 11 or 10 and 13 wins. So they were all right around the same overall record, but Kent City took care of conference play. You look at some of those guys, they really had a very deep team last year, offensively, defensively. Molly Stanwood and Central Malcolm both 5-3, White Cloud and Lakeview bringing up the rear. I think when you look at Kent City, I think Coach Boyd, you look at where Aaron Vanderwest has continued to develop. Some of those guards can shoot the rock at an outstanding level. And despite losing guys like Carlson, I think they still have some depth to really push this team forward again this season.
Yeah, this was a gritty team all season long, really outfought some teams late into games, but you got to think about a historic football season coming into basketball season. They want to build on the momentum and just have a great athletic season.
That's a great point. So if you see a slow start, don't panic. That's probably why. When I look at Molly Stanwood, you have some returners from last year. You're losing some of the athletes from last year that really kind of gave you those spark of big wins last year. But Garrett, Babbitt, those guys are back. So will they be able to contribute each night? But I think for them, they're going to need offense. I think that's really going to be the side. I think the defense will be there, but I think when you look at that coaching staff, I think the emphasis is going to have to be looking at some of those low-scoring games last year. If we can outscore opponents playing well this defensively, we could flip the script and be over 500, no problem.
And that question's got even bigger with the way the struggle to score already this season, but just focus on last season. They had multiple games where it was 1-score, 2-score games. They lost 3 or 4 of those. That really could have been just the switch. You're now 11-12. Now you go to maybe a 13-win season, and you have a little bit more momentum going into the postseason.
You're absolutely right. Looking at some other teams as well, Central Montcalm is a team I'm certainly going to keep my eye on. The hottest team, arguably, to start this year with the dominance they showed offensively in their first 2 games. They were 10-13 last year, but we've saw guys like Zane Cooper. We've saw Evan Ralston have an outstanding season last year. If those 2 guys can continue to ball and they fill in what that Central Montcalm mold is of team basketball, they might be a team that could wreck it and challenge Kent City for a conference title.
This entire team's looking for a breakout season, not alone just the guards, the bigs. Everyone is looking for the breakout season, even the coaching staff. This very well, the start of the season you were just talking about, could be that breakout season where you look at a nasty Hornet squad.
Absolutely. And you look at the White Cloud Indians, 2-6 last year, 11-13. I think for them, you look at where they've been. Coach Jones has proven that he's won, and he's been great the last 3 years. For over his entirety of his career, the last 3 years have been the pinnacle for him, especially with those athletes. Now, I think he's really going to be put to the test, right? Losing Jaden Robinson, losing some of these key guys. You know, obviously Straight's going to be there. He's going to be continuing to improve. But they're going to really have to see outside of Straight, who are those other guys to step up like we saw from a team 2 years ago? That will be the question mark because they have an experienced squad. They have a schedule that is winnable, so they're going to have to go out and prove it and show everybody what White Cloud's all about.
They got a seed that can blossom, but they also have a seed that could die straight off rip. And this is a team that's got to find they got major questions. They got to find those major answers, or this could be a very cold winter in White Cloud.
Absolutely. Lakeview is the final team on the list. This is a new young team. There's no doubt about it. Many people have seen the scores already. There's time to turn it around. Losing Peasley, I think now they're starting to realize was a big loss from last year for the amount of plays that he made for that team. So they're building stepping stones. Fans probably going to have to be more patient than normal, but just remember, new coach, still a lot of young players that need experience, so you're looking at the long game.
Yeah, you got to be patient with this squad. It's going to take a couple games. Not even really a couple games. It might take multiple weeks for the squad to really get going after not having a winning season since 2016-17. And I don't mean to burst a lot of Wildcats fans, but this is probably not that. But this is, you mentioned it, a stepping stone season for them.
You're absolutely right. Before we get into the girls of the CSAA-White division, if you want to sponsor the Rundown or our local Reed City and basketball radio broadcast coverage, call 796-7000 for more information on how we can get you involved with local sports. CSAA White girls, Kent City was definitely the team to watch last year. Moy Stanwood really battling them. Central Montcalm was a team that was a little inconsistent. Lakeview really turned some heads last year. Really impressive Wildcat season. And then White Cloud there at the bottom was battling as well. When you look at these teams individually, I think for Kent City, look, 19-win season last year. You bring back a lot of size. I think when you look at Freeland, you look at Hoff, some of these players are going to be really crucial pieces. I think for them, if they can play as well as they did in the paint last year, I mean, there's no reason they can't win 15 more games this year.
Yeah, this is a powerhouse of a unit. And what Coach Holcomb from a couple years ago, Coach Carlson, and now Coach Mail have built over there, this is a powerhouse. Huge, huge team they have over there. This could be a nasty season again.
We'll have to wait to see what the other teams have to say, like Central Montcalm. You look at where they're at. You look where Moy Stanwood's at. Starting with Central Montcalm, they're a team that plays really scrappy, have really had some good guards over the last season. I think for them, looking around the perimeter, I think the big key for them is, can they win the transition game? I think that's going to be something to watch for Central Montcalm in years past. They have won with some of those athletes with speed and transition, so maybe they get back to that this year to really try to move their way up.
Yeah, I think they have a better squad than previous years, but this is also looking from the 2 to 5 in this conference. There's going to be a lot of tough conference games, and they got to find a way to win those.
You're absolutely right. And a team that has played well on the road, but have struggles at home as well. Looking at Moy Stanwood, hey, there's really no other simple analysis to put it. You know, you look at where they're at, losing some of the pieces from last year, but you look at some of the pieces that are back. Martin as well as Norat. You have the momentum from volleyball. Use it early in the year. Pick up some W's. Although it might take them some time to get the basketball, but the effort they've shown in other sports is there. I think for sure with this coaching staff, I think they have to look with Coach Raven and company, hey, we have the athletes to do it. We got to show the grit. We got to slow some of these games down. We might have to, really kind of rough it up a little bit in the first month, but there's a lot of winnable games for them to start the year.
Yeah, and even going later in the season, they're going to try to knock this Eagles team off that high horse they've been riding for the past couple seasons, and this is going to be a dogfight between the Eagles and the Mohawks this season.
Absolutely, and Lakeview is, I think, the team we're certainly going to be watching. 3-5 last year, got some big upset wins in non-conference play. Can they apply that to conference this year? Can they get over that 500 mark? This is a pivotal swing point for Lakeview. Do they fold, go back to the bottom, or can they prove, hey, we're a program on the rise. Let's beat the Hornets, let's beat the Mohawks, and let's try to beat the Eagles too.
Yeah, 3-win improvements over the last 4 years. They're now a 13-win team last season. This is a team that's been trending up, and they got to keep going up, and they're going to have some tough battles. This is a very good conference for the CSAA White.
This is going to be fun to watch. And then you have White Cloud in there. Had a lot of young players last year, and the rumor in camp is they have some players this year coming up from the young ranks. Maybe it won't happen right away. Maybe it's a waiting game, but it sounds like there's some potential in White Cloud, and we might see sparks of it this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that have to stay patient in the CSAA White because it's going to be a dogfight in some of these early matchups. But come January to February, there's going to be some really good basketball played, and White Cloud may be able to surprise some teams.
I think it's going to be fun conferences to watch for boys and girls in the CSAA-Red and CSAA-White. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube or Facebook or X, wherever you are watching these episodes for weekly episodes. We'll be covering some basketball. We'll also get into cover some wrestling as well as some bowling, some winter sports as well. We'll give them some love, interviews with coaches and players. But Jack, I think I'm really excited just to see, you look at where these teams were last year, you look at a lot of the winning basketball. I think it's great to see that we have so many teams that are really on the cusp of greatness. Now this is the team. Now this is the time. Now this is when we see what they're made of.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of upsets this season. That's my bold take.
Ooh, I like it. We'll have to see if we have some new conference champions this year. Until next episode, Brandon Worth, Jack Heckman signing off here on The Rundown. Big thanks to Dazos Digital as well as RivalsMI.com, Eagle Village, and Denny's Small Floor and Brakes for their support of The Rundown. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.